Hi folks, let's have a look at some mug press machines and see what the possible problems are that you might be experiencing. Right, I'm getting quite a few comments coming through from people who obviously have brought a mug press machine, and the question that keeps coming up is that the edges of my mugs are partially faded, or the tops and the bottoms are partially faded. What's causing that? They've tried raising the temperature, they've tried raising the pressure on the mug, but it's still happening. Well, again, this is something to do with the actual mug machine that you've got, or the heating element that's installed within that mug machine. Let me show you. I've got my original mug press here, which I had for 10 years, and let me show you this and the latest one that I've got and see the differences between the two. Right, now those of you who have got my training DVD will recognise this as the one that is actually featured in the DVD, and this is the mug press that I have had, or what I started off with back in 2005. Now again, back at that time, mug pressing was a pretty new thing on eBay, and there weren't very many sellers selling these things. I got this from eBay. It was a generic mug press, and this cost me at the time, bearing in mind we're going back to 2005, was £175. Now I used this right up until I got my latest mug press, which was the Galaxy Mug Press Pro there, as you can see, and I've only had this for about a year, or just under a year now. So this mug press had actually lasted me for 10 years with the same element in. I'd never changed the element, and as you can probably see, looking at the state of it, it's very, very well worn, and it was still working fine up until we bought the Galaxy. I got lucky, and as I say, back then there were very few of these on the market, and the quality, although it was an unbranded one, the quality tended to be a lot more robust. Now I wanted to get a second one. It was probably about a year after we started business, because our mug business really took off and we was getting quite large orders. So I decided to go back onto eBay, and again, because there was no generic name or whatever, there were makes out there that you could buy over here in the UK, for example, who were selling these, but they were from the businesses that were established businesses, online and offline. In other words, they had a web presence as well as an eBay shop, but they were charging about £600 to £700 for their mug press. So this cheaper side of the market, so to speak, was where I was aiming at. And anyway, so I looked on eBay again, and I found a very similar one. It was exactly the same design as this, but it was purple in colour. So, and I brought that one again. I think that was for about £135, £125, £135. We used that for probably, I don't know, 2 to 3 months. And Sharon come out one day to turn it on. She turned it on, it went pop, that switch flew out, and it basically never works after that. So basically this thing was very, or the other one we got was very, very dangerous after a while, and even to the extent when the element casing, which has got a metal band around it, you used to touch the screws on that hold the metal casing on, and you used to get little shocks. So what I'm saying to you is that I got lucky with this one. This one lasted me, as I say, probably for about 9.5 years, and it's still working now, but we don't use it now, obviously. And what's happened over the period of years is that they've got more and more people have imported these things, and probably the standard's gone down, because you can actually buy these now for as cheap as about 45, 47, well, but around the £50 mark. And you might buy one of them cheap 45 to £50 ones, and you can press a mug and it will be absolutely perfect and fine. But what you may find is that the elements, or they don't last very long. So watching someone do a tutorial, for example, on one of these cheap ones and saying, I recommend you get one of these, I wouldn't bother with that personally, because you get what you pay for in this game. And at the end of the day, you want longevity of equipment, and that is why we buy decent heat presses, as opposed to the cheap ones. They're proven not to last. And if you're in the market of buying a heat press and you're looking at these cheap 45, 50, 70 pound ones or whatever, with the intent of starting a long-term business, then I wouldn't recommend that you waste your money on that sort of stuff just for the sake of starting up. I mean, realistically, if you're going to be going into this to earn money and to perhaps keep or have a hobby that you want to carry on for a long period of time, or you own a club or something and you want to produce your own merchandise, getting equipment which costs £45 to £55, you must tell yourself, and it's unbranded, for example, you must surely tell yourself that you probably really know that that's not going to last very long. Although I got lucky, but this was back in a time when they first come over into the market in the UK, and the standard was probably a little bit higher. And as I say, back then this was £175 or whatever it was. That was back 10 years ago. So if you was buying the equivalent press now, you'd probably be looking at 3 times that amount, 2 to 3 times that amount. And that's where we are now. But actually, in today's money, if you can pick them up to dirt cheap, like £45 to £55, sure, they might print all right on the first few instances, but you probably haven't got no longevity there. So anyway, that's that. Now, as I say, a lot of people also are saying that when they print a mug, they bought a new mug, or they've had it for a while, whatever the reason, that around the edges, for example, down these edges where the handles are, they're getting like it's a bit faded, or maybe around the top or the bottom it's getting a bit faded, the image. And they've tried raising the pressure, as I say, and they've tried having longer times, but it ends up burning the colours or whatever. Well, the reason being is that, as I say, if you've got this type of mug press, for example, let me show you. And then what I've done here, this is an image which I printed on one of my mug tutorials a while back, and as you can see, it's still perfectly fine. This was one of the matte finish mugs. As you can see from the handle there, the wraps come round to probably about, I don't know, maybe an inch either side of the handle. Now, when you put them in the machines, you're actually heating near enough onto the edge of the element. And I can show you that because on the top there, I've put where it ends, the image, I've put a little dot either side, just so we can see where it goes in the press. So let me put this in the press. And all I'm going to do is drop it in the press. You normally centralise the handle in the opening, so to speak, and then close it up. So as you can see, that mug handle is virtually in the centre there. And if I lift up and find them 2 little dots there, you can see the 2 little dots, probably, I don't know, half or a centimetre from the inside of the heating element there. The top and the bottom of the heating element, there's probably about, I don't know, half a centimetre above the mug there. It's sitting on the pedestal there, and the heating element right at the bottom there. I don't know whether you can actually see that or not. Let me try and lift that up. That's virtually right at the bottom of the element. So if you're actually creating a full size image from rim to base, the chances are that you're going to get some fading along the edges, or even if you take it right to the edge, you're going to get sort of fading, because these heating, especially if you've gone for a cheaper mug press, the heating element right at the edge is not going to be nowhere near as hot as perhaps a centimetre or more in. So there is a way around it, and that is, as I say, to design your mug like I've done here, for example, with a white space at the bottom and a white space at the top, and bring your images in slightly more, maybe half a centimetre or something like that. You won't notice over the whole graphic of the mug, to be honest with you, because when you're holding, no one really stands and looks at their mug like that. But that's where you want to be if you've got that issue. Now, if you've got something like the Galaxy mug press, which I've got here, which is the Mug Press Pro, you can probably see, if I just open this up, here's the heating element on this one, and if I put that in there, the mug, first thing you can notice is between the top and the bottom of the mug, there is a very good overhang of element there, as you can see at the base of the mug. We've got a good centimetre below the bottom of the mug, and there's a good centimetre above the top of the mug. And when I close the mug up in the press, right, so I'm just closing it up now, I clamped it on now. So if I look down at them 2 little dots, as you can see, they're a good centimetre in either side of the element. So the elements basically in this is being slightly larger, is giving us, look, totally good coverage above the top of the mug, around the back of the mug with this overhang, and our centimetre inside. Looking at them 2 dots there, you can see there. You're guaranteed probably of getting, if you want to go to right to the top and right to the bottom of the mug, you're guaranteed at least good coverage of heat, because this heating element in this mug press definitely is a lot better. Now, as I said to you, 10 years ago, I paid, as I said to you, about £175 for this. 10 years later, for this one, I paid £200. Now, if this would have been available back in them days for £200, I would have had it, obviously, because, as I say, now I know a lot more about mug presses, as I say, with regards to the size of the wraps and the quality of the elements. Now, this is said to you, if I wanted spares for this one, I would find it very difficult. I'd have to buy a generic heating element for this and hoping that it fitted. The reason why I never changed the element in it is because they did make generic heat elements on eBay, not for this company because there was no company, but you had to take the chance and possibly rewire. With the Galaxy Mug Press Pro that I've got there, the company, I think, Subliblanks, who had it designed and updated it and modified it, because there's been updates and modifications to it with regards to the circuit balls, the heat elements that they use inside that. I think is the Atkins heating element, which is a well-known brand as well. And they've put a name to it, so you can buy parts, spare parts for that heat press if they do go wrong, and you can't do it with this one, and you definitely won't be able to with one of the cheap ones that you buy on eBay for 45 to 55 or 60 pounds or whatever. So you can give that company a phone call, Subliblanks, because they sell that press and only that press, because they own the rights to it. Something like this, generically, all you've got to do is you can only contact either the company who sold it to you on eBay, or maybe even they might have an online shop. So the point I'm making is if you're going to buy a heat press, if you're getting it off of eBay, do a bit of research and find out if the company that's selling it on eBay have a website as well. And then if they've got a website as well, see if there's any reviews for it, if they've given the press a name. So if this was called Super Press 2000, go to Google, type in Super Press 2000 Mug Press Review and see what people are saying about it. That way you know that you're going to get a decent press. If you find one of these cheap ones for £45 and it hasn't got a name on it, how are you going to do a review on it? And sure, someone might do a video saying that it's look, I've done this press, it's a brand new press and I recommend it, when they've only pressed one mug in it. But realistically, it's got to last over and over and over again. And don't forget, you've got to be selling stuff which is of a certain quality to your customers. Otherwise, you won't be in business very long. Hope that was of some use for you. If you're buying a mug press, if you've got a mug press, if you've got the issues which I talked about, get over it. If you've got an old press or a cheap press and you're getting that fade out on the bottoms or sides or whatever, shorten the images a bit more. Redesign your images if you don't want to go and buy a new press. If not, go out and get yourself a decent heat press. Go on Google, type in Mug Press Pro Review, or type in whatever the name of the press, and find out about it before you waste your money. Okay then, thanks very much. Hope that was some use to you. Bye for now.